Hey guys, we're looking into World of Haiku. I think this is a continuation to the older video that I've released. So we're gonna look into the next map. We've already completed the first map where we have breached into um, a network. There were two different machines, machine 1A and 1B. One was the reconnaissance machines, one was a break-in. So we've done that. So let's look into the next one, which also has two, different machines, 2A and 2B. Let's see how we can finish that. So let's enter this machine. It says the objective is to use curl, discover web servers on its own, use ping utilities, terminate ping utilities, things like that. Let's go ahead and see what this has to offer. I'm going to start it. Once started, we are immediately greeted with a terminal, and then there is the message application where we have typical all of the stuff, including the Rascal AI bot. It says, looks like we are going to find out who got paid to do this part of the job. I'm getting a direct message from Dekara, a member of Dealer's faction. She helps us cybermances occasionally for a place. Okay, all right. So it seems like they have someone who they can talk to, pay a price, and get some sort of an information. So this has to be Dekara. It says, "What's up? Someone sent me to help you guys hack into the network. I recognize this as another dealer's network, but I'm not sure whose. All right. So this has to be some sort of a target. My advice is to use a ping tool to make sure the network is accessible. So typically, ping tool is used for a variety of reasons. Now, you can ping a domain name, you can ping an IP address, whatever. But when you do ping an IP address, it typically gives us a response letting you know whether you are able to access that IP address or not. Apart from ping tool, they're also telling us to use the curl command. Curl is curl. Um, I don't exactly remember what C stands for. It stands for something. Possibly we'll find out sooner or later. Ping is a tool we use to test if a device is active in the network. Okay, that's one of the functions that ping can be used for. Type ping space IP address. Okay, so basically we have to type in ping and the IP address 192.192.1.151. We are able to ping. One of the issues with ping is when you do at least ping directly like this, it keeps on pinging the target machine over and over and over again. And it also gives us some really good information like TTL is time to live, ICMP sequence, one after the other, the bytes that it has been transmitted, so on and so forth. The value of TTL and bytes would differ. In this case, it's 64 bytes. So 64 bytes typically are a part of Linux. If the byte value is different to if the byte value is different and also the TTL value is different, it could be a different operating system. That's something that you have to keep in mind typically when you're working with it. Control C to stop the ping command, whatever it's doing. So we've stopped it. I press Control C to stop it. So use ping is done, terminate ping is done. So let's take a look at what next holds for us. Among us AI, we call this interpreting the process. To do this, you need to hold Control key and then hit C. So Control key to terminate any process. So once you do that, let's actually try that again. Ping. You can see that it's constantly pinging. I'm going to press Control plus C. It's going to stop it. So for any command that you wanted to terminate, any process that's running in the terminal that you want to terminate, we can do Control C to terminate the process. Control Z would background that process. Maybe that's something that is told later on in the game, probably. Let's hope so. Let's go on. And now that we know the network's accessible, we need to use the curl command tool to dig up some data. Okay, curl is to retrieve. Okay, so curl. Okay, the C in the curl stands for client URL. So curl client URL. It will fetch data from a URL website and return the data as raw text. So as it's mentioned, it will basically retrieve information from a domain which is active, which is serving a web page. You can retrieve the web page. It could be a single page, it could be multiple pages. It also could be in different connections with HTTP or HTTPS. It could be sub pages, whatever it is. You mention the URL, it's going to extract data from the URL and display it to you in your terminal. would clear the screen. With that said, let's do curl. Since we were able to access the IP, let's do HTTP, and the IP is 191.192.1.151. And this is basically retrieving the web page. This seems to the web page. HTML. There's a head tag. There is a body tag, and then a bunch of tags. H1, H2 tag, so on and so forth. And we have some. Okay, so we basically have certain references. I have highlighted web address catalyst.com in a raw text that I think is important. So this particular web page has links embedded within it, a reference tag. So this is some vital information that you typically find in a lot of websites. The reference could be for any information. It can be fetched, and that could provide you something maybe associated with that website, right? So let's try and ping catalyst.com and see if we are able to ping it. All right, we are able to ping it. So let's go ahead and see if we can curl this one. Now, apart from this, you also see this one, right? So catalyst.com/service.html, so that's also there. So let's do curl. You don't necessarily need to mention HTTP. If you directly give the domain name, that's also going to work. catalyst.com/about.html. Let's do that. Now the next one is complete. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, you can see that it's also mentioning catalyst.com/services.html. So typically when you're targeting a web service, web page, web application, one of the first things that you have to do is look into all the reference tags, look into all the links that it contains within it, so it gives you a better idea, right? Cool, I have web address, okay, all that is done. I bet the URL results to 191.192.1.151. So let's go ahead and see what this is. Curl catalyst.com/ okay, you can see that redirects to bit credits IP address 192.168.1.131. Okay, so bit credit will be listed on 192.168.1.131. That is vital information. We've seen bit credit before in mission 1. It was in one of the emails which said the malware that they bought was through bit credit or something like that. The horse, the horse whatever malware, and then there was another malware called it started in Z. I don't particularly remember, but yeah, those two 0 point, I guess, 0 point malware. So it was paid in bit credits, I believe. I don't exactly remember. Something related to that. I've come across this before. Anyway, look, there is another link that points to a different section we can call. Okay, we've already done that. We've also resolved it. Okay, so this says, I know this guy, so they know who is behind this, at least this particular web server, so on and so forth. Catalyst is a member of the dealers faction, but he's whatever it is, he's known for creating some of the nastiest cyber viruses on the grid. As I mentioned before, probably he's one of the guys who sold the virus to them. This is really bad news. With Agenda 21 as a financer behind the cyber attacks, we can expect damage on a global scale. Okay, so basically Catalyst is someone who can make exceptional malware, and he sells it for a good amount of money. And Agenda 21 is probably using Catalyst to deploy those malwares against the targets that they wish to. So, all right, that's perfect. Is a target. So we have a target. 192.168.1.131 is a target. So probably the Kera is going to do something with the target to see if she can get into the target. So this mission, the first mission, is complete. Let's look at the next mission. We have Rascal. Rascal says, let's give it a try. To curl, we made it into the local area network. We call it LAN. So we're actually into the local area network. One of the interesting things with local area network is that if you can compromise one machine, then the rest of the machines within the network could probably be accessible, given that given that you're able to breach the firewalls and all of that stuff, right? And be persistent within the network. I think that's what they're trying to say. The LAN is configured in a mesh pattern. This makes it efficient for each service to talk to all of the other servers quickly because they're all connected to each other. That's something that we have to keep in mind. There is a weakness to mesh network setup. If you hack into one of these servers, you can theoretically connect to any of these devices on the network. So theoretically, yes, if you hack into one of the devices in the network, and if you're very persistent, you can probably, interact with the rest of the devices. That is possible, yes. But in a typical enterprise network, there is EDR, and there are network security SOC SIEM teams looking into incidents like this. So in reality, it could be a little bit difficult. It could be much difficult, I would say. We can use File Explorer. Okay, let's do who am I. Catalyst. So we are into Catalyst system list. There's a directory called system. So this is the only directory. Maybe let's do ls-la just to verify that there are no hidden directories. There aren't. Let's do cd into systems ls. There is another directory into systems. It's called home. Let's move into home ls. Okay, there is document, downloads, mail, and trash. So let's look into trash first. There is nothing in trash. Let's look into mail. So mail has 4 directories. Let's do look into inbox. Inbox has 4 files. What about sent? Sent has 4 files. And spam has nothing. And then I guess there is also trash has few files. So anything particularly interesting what they mentioned in the mission statement? One is file AZS security email. So AZS security access, we find something on the similar fashion. Maybe this could help. Find Megacorp stock symbols, Megacorp investors, Megacorp overview reports. These are something related to what they've asked in the first one. So let's look into the email first. Specifically the inbox and okay, so we are into inbox now. So let's read ktuple request.yml. Nothing about the new dealer.yml. There's a spelling mistake. About the new email.yml is not found. What is the problem? Oh, alright, there's another typo. Okay, Catalyst, I've heard there's a new dealer making various representations impressive. It appears many of your peers admire her skill set. What can you tell about this Dekera? So probably this Dekera is also a target because Dekera is a rivaling Catalyst. Maybe Dekera also creates malware. She also does this kind of a job for money. But the only difference is Catalyst is in the enemy side, Dekera is in our side, right? At least up until this point. So cat overview reports.yml to compile. Okay, I think this is a regular file. Router maintenance YAML. Okay, this is also, it's not giving us any information. So let's move into sent. In sent, let's look into AZS security access.yml. Okay, so we should have looked into this file first. So what does it say? Upon your request, I managed to create a credential under your name to access AZS security systems. AZS, I don't know, maybe it could be Azure. Okay, AZS security email, we got an email ID. This way you will be flagged as an entity of AZS and draw little attention. So Catalyst has created some sort of a credential for AZS security system for someone. We have to figure out who that is. So let's look into the rest of the files. client I currently working with request. Okay, allied business machinery. Okay, this doesn't render any useful information. Okay, this probably is, I guess, about the new dealer.eml. I guess this is probably of Dekera. So Dekera, just saying her name leaves a rotten taste in my mouth. Yes, there is a new dealer around. Yes, she's quite the skill set. However, I find that her reasoning behind her work is noble skit. We dealers with the right price, we can get any information that can exist. Dekera has a degree of moral that causes her to turn down work if she doesn't see right with her. She's a fool. Okay, so basically, Dekera has some sense of morality within her, which basically makes Dekera to choose a side, in this case, the ethical side. She probably doesn't get involved with crimes and stuff like that, which could be damaging to people. But she does do this kind of a job, probably kind of a freelance job or whatever it is, to make money. Megacorp invested or CML. We had to confirm the investor portfolio I previously sent, so on and so forth. Okay, so nothing in sent, nothing in the rest of the directories, only that. So let's look into downloads. In downloads, we have a couple of files. Let's move into downloads and let's read them. So these four XML files. Okay, so we have information on the Megacorp stock symbols. So this is giving us information about the stock gains difference. Tong Fang, so these are people who have gained a significant amount of profit with the Megacorp's probably publicly traded stock exchange or whatever. Now, the way I'm looking into the story is because someone needs to gain some sort of a profit, and I've seen this allied business machine before in an email. I think it wasn't sent. Maybe they have something to do with it. Maybe they wanted to get some profit. So, because they wanted to get some profit, they are attacking few other organizations so that their stock could go down and this company's value could go up. Probably, I don't know, I'm just guessing, that could be a case, right? Let's look into the next file. Okay, this one talks about the number of virtual machines that they have, number of polymorphic engines they have, executable files, macro programs, Trojans, worms, virus scanners, so on and so forth. So basically, Catalyst is selling all of this, I believe, or has sold all of this, and the price is in BCD, 1440 BCD. So he sold 300 Trojans, 250 worms, 120 virus scanners, 75 scripts, so on and so forth. So this is interesting. This is either that is something that he's bought or something that he sold. This is to keep in mind because these Trojans and all sorts of malwares and programs can be used to launch the attack against, I think, OGI was one of the companies and ABM was another company, right? Let's look into documents now. In documents, let's look into the first one, which says okay, October report.txt. Okay, so that's one thing is done. October report says the agriculture Megacorp utilizes high-end agri-tech farming procedures to create a new huge supply of food. October Guard Industries also create large-scale urban farm system production. Seems like a farming company, and millions upon millions would face a massive food shortage, which in turn would cause death by starvation to skyrocket. So basically, there are weak points in this company. This Megacorp is a company that is producing a lot of, products, specifically food products, and a lot of people might be depending on Megacorp, right? Maybe it affects a huge population, to which it supplies food product one way or the other, either directly or indirectly, right? And their infrastructure could have weak points, and if their infrastructure collapses for some reason, it could be any reason, right? It could be any reason. It could be a physical threat, or it could be a threat in the cyber world. And if that is abused, then it could create a food shortage. Food shortage would kill a bunch of people. So that's what this one talks about. And whoever is behind the cyber attack is probably trying to achieve that, maybe kill a bunch of people. So the October report says that. So let's look into targeted facilities.xml. Okay, this one talks about probably what are all the targeted facilities, and again we can see OGI. Okay, so OGI means October Guard Industries. OGI was one of the targets that was targeted, the Horseman malware, and then the 0 point also as well. And then the ABM means Allied Business Machinery. This was also one of their target. We can find all sorts of information here, and on top of that we have Azure Star and Lendi Biotechnologies. I don't know what these companies have to do with the storyline, but so far I think I like the storyline. It's very interesting to look into this perspective where cyber attacks can cause huge damages, and it has caused huge damage in healthcare sector. It has played a major role in elections, so on and so forth. It's weird that I say that, but yeah, it has caused that. ABM report.txt, and we have this. So this one says crash of 41, ABM becomes the foremost weapon manufacturing tech. So basically they manufacture weapons. Still awaiting further investigation. So I don't exactly know what ABM does at this point. I'm assuming that they're into weapon manufacturing, and they do it for armed forces for one of the countries. And they are one of the targets because for some reason, maybe it's a military motivated, state sponsored cyber attack. That could be a possibility. Okay, so we've completed this particular machine. Only the machine 1 is done. So let's go ahead, take a look into machine 2, see what we can do. Okay, they're motivated by political, religious, and ideological causes. Their intent is to intimidate governments or sanctions sections of population of varying degrees. Many times megacorp and the governments will be forced to fortify their own defenses against this group or hire cybermancers to stop the plans. So cyberman is one of the elite guys who can defend against attacks that Agent Definitely One is causing. We're heading into dangerous territory. Are you ready? Let's see how this dangerous territory looks. In most cases, dangerous territories in cyberspace is basically a laptop. Okay, so we've done machine 2A, 2B. We can see the network that we breached. Mostly I think it was more like reading files using curl, ping, basic commands. Once you're done with this, the next machine is the machine 3, which again has 2, which we'll look into in a separate video. Thank you so much, guys.